Okay, welcome back to the channel. Once again, we're in the Pimax crystal, and this time we're at a Soaring club in the Netherlands, I think. Gliderfield de Voorste. It sounds Dutch, so we're going to try flying here. And before we do that, I want to check something, because I've been complaining about this is going to sound silly, but I've been complaining about how hard it is to get the glider to unstick from the runway behind the towplane. So I want to see flight instruments, flight control surfaces, brakes. Let's see. All right, so we've got the slider mapped. All right, so that's mapped. Now, let's validate that. I just wanted to check that my brake wasn't working backwards. Because if I thought my brake was off and it was on, that would explain why the glider didn't want to leave the ground and why it was hard to get it to accelerate. So let's apply and save, go back, resume, and here we are in this beautiful glider. Far fancier than anything I'll ever get to fly in real life, and that's the beauty of Sims. My frame rate seems awfully low. I've got this horrible feeling that something's running in the background. Okay, now it's coming up again. Usually I get about 40 to 60 frames per second in Flight Sim 2020. Right now I've got 37. So I think wind blows is updating something in the background, and that almost always kind of ruins my day. All right, I don't know if the... All right, so everything seems to be on. Leave that off. Landing gear, oh, that's good. That's good to know. This is water. Okay, we're going to want to empty that ballast as soon as we're in the air. That's water in the wings. It helps the glider go faster against the wind, which is important when you're in a soaring competition. But I was never really good enough to do much in soaring competitions. So let's waggle the rudder and see. Got trim set slightly aft. Taking off has been a real problem for me behind these tow planes. All right, we seem to be moving freely now. I want to ease the stick forward and kind of hold the nose down. The glider should want to lift off by itself. Got to put a little aileron in, a whole lot of rudder at the beginning. And then as the speed picks up, you need less rudder. All right, I'm trying to stay behind this guy. All right, let's see if I can get in the air. Yeah, here we are. Okay, so that wasn't the best launch I ever did, but I have certainly done worse in this sim. And in real life, let's be honest. So, boy, if we had a rope break now, I don't know where I'd land. I certainly don't have enough altitude to turn around safely. I'd be looking for a road or something, I guess. Well, I can't wait to get the new beta firmware revision that fixes the audio for me. They've been trying to find the perfect blend of sound quality and processing power that will allow the crystal to give you good sound with no delay in the sound. So the previous revision had wonderful sound, but some people complained there was a little bit of delay. I didn't notice it, but then I'm not as sensitive to these things as other people are, and the iRacers are really sensitive to it. The people driving the racing sims. So they revised the firmware, and And now it sounds like I've got aliens talking in my headset. It's just, I don't know if it sounds like that in the recording. I guess we'll find out. But boy, I'll tell you what, we're supposed to be getting a firmware update this week for the beta testers, and I will be glad to get it because this drives me crazy. And anybody who knows me will tell you that's not a drive, it's a short putt. Okay. Lines like that have kept me out of the big time for years. Now, if you're interested in glider flying, you'll see that when the airplane in front of me, the towplane, banked, I pointed my nose kind of at his outside wing and just tried to stay centered behind him and not yank the tail outside of his turn circle, if you know what I mean. If I get too far to the outside or too far to the inside, then it makes it very difficult for the towplane pilot. And the one thing I absolutely don't want to do is get like 10 or 15 feet above him so I tip his nose over. That's how tow pilots get killed. You got full throttle on and you're 150 feet off the ground and climbing steeply, and the glider gets way above you, tilts your nose down, and the tow pilot thinks, I can solve this, but he doesn't have time because he's got full throttle, he's doing 100 miles an hour, and you have a second to decide, are you going to release the glider or not? And generally I think it's better to release the glider because the glider can land anywhere. I mean, they're wonderful that way, but well, I'll tell you what, it's not a situation I'd ever want to put a tow pilot in. So I focus on staying in a good position behind them. I mean, back in the day when when my health was good enough to fly. Look at the patchwork of fields and the lovely colors. I mean, sound issues aside in this revision, I have to admit the Pimax just looks so amazing. I really have this sensation that I'm there, you know. The shadows on the ground from the clouds, the houses, the trees, the black of the instrument panel really pops. Oh, the GPS is working. All right, so he wants me off. Now, I turn right and he should turn left. But I want to see where he goes because in my experience, I do a full circle in here and the tow pilot is nowhere to be seen. So it looks like he's not descending at all. Okay, that's crazy. Because in real life, he would be descending power on in a spiral to get down to the ground quickly so that he can get the next glider in the air. He's turning left, but he doesn't seem to be descending. Yeah, by now he should be a couple 100 feet below me and over the airfield. But that's all right. Maybe that's the way they do it in the Netherlands. I don't know. I mean, I got a lot of flights in gliders, but I'm certainly not an expert authority on glider procedures in every country in the world, nor in Microsoft Flight Sim. But normally, when I was flying gliders, the tow pilot would descend as quickly as possible to get out of the way of the glider. So, all right, let's see what things look like. I kind of like this GPS thing. And of course, this being the crystal, I can read every instrument. I don't really have to move my head very much to do it because the sweet spot is just about as big as the field of view. Not quite. I've got the plastic lenses and they aren't quite edge-to-edge clarity. They're close. It looks like there's maybe, I don't know how to express it, a slight band of lower quality at the far left and far right. And not so much vertically, top and bottom, but a little bit. Yeah. It's unbelievable how clear this is. And I think most of the reviewers who are sim players really love the Crystal. I think it's a pretty expensive headset to buy if you want to play Beat Saber. You know what I mean? I don't think it's the best choice for Beat Saber, although it's going to have a pretty good standalone mode, and eventually, who knows? They're working on improving all sorts of things: eye tracking, inside-out tracking, the ability to use lighthouses. So I mean, if you want to use the Crystal for standalone games, no reason you can't. But I think for the price, it's going to appeal mostly to hardcore simmers, people who really, really want to fly airplanes and race cars and zoom around. But I could be wrong. I mean, I played Half-Life Alyx in it, which I suck at, by the way. I don't think I've solved the first puzzle in it yet. I just suck at those games. But it sure looks good. I mean, oh my gosh, I've never seen anything in that genre look as good as Half-Life Alyx does in the Crystal. All right, a little town down there. Small fields. I wonder when I fly over here, how many of these fields are owned by one person or one family, and how many of them are very small farm operations. In Canada, we used to have farms that were only a quarter section, which is 1 square quarter mile, but that's just not practical anymore. You can't make a living off that. Even a full square mile, a section of land, isn't enough anymore. The cost of farming has gotten so high that the input costs are enormous now, and you need to have a lot of land and get the economy of scale working for you. It's tough for young people starting out who want to buy land and be a farmer. It's just almost impossible now, I think, in Canada. If you're not born into farming, it's pretty hard to get into it. I grew up with my dad had a small farm, and so did my uncles. And so I know a little bit about it. I wouldn't call myself an expert farmer, but I certainly worked on the farm. Well, I think that's our glider field below us. I want to scoot over and look at that little town there. Maybe over to the water and back. I really don't know very much about Holland, Netherlands. I know 2 of my uncles were in the Canadian Army when they liberated Holland in World War II. And I thought we'd never see the kind of destruction that war brought again, but of course that was naive. I don't think there's been a day in the history of the world since World War II when there hasn't been some kind of a war going on. But we're here to talk about the Pimax Crystal and flying. And I think, I would almost suggest to you, in fact, I'm going to suggest to you, that if you want to enjoy the scenery and really, really enjoy flying the Pimax Crystal, get into a glider. I think that's the towplane coming back. I wonder if he went for a hamburger at another field. Pretty sure that's the towplane. Can't see the planform yet. I just see the lights on the plane. I don't think it's a UFO though. Boy, that's been in the news a lot lately, huh? I don't know what what to make of that. Okay, now I can start to make out the airplane shape. Isn't that pretty? I'm leaning over to watch him. Trying to remember to keep the the nose down. When it starts to get real quiet in the glider, you're too slow. Put the nose down. Alright, so he's lined up on final. I wonder if he's going to land or do a touch and go. This is the coolest thing about, well, it's not the coolest thing. There are a lot of cool things about Flight Sim 2020. But I love the traffic. And you can actually set it up so you see real life traffic. I haven't tried that. I wonder what it does to the frame rate. See how the glider just got quiet? I just did kind of a little up and down loopy thing. I don't see the towplane now. How did he disappear? Well, that was fun watching him land anyway. Even if he's got a magical disappearing airplane. I don't know what all these buildings are, but they sure look great. The trees and the river and the reflections. I mean, it's just a delight to fly a glider in Flight Sim 2020 in VR on the Crystal. I enjoy it on the 8KX too, but the 8KX I love because it's got this wide field of view. But I don't know if I can go back to it now. This Crystal is just so clear. I'm really looking forward to the next generation, the 12K. And some other companies are coming out with some headsets that I'd really like to try. The Somnium, I think that's the name of it. That looks like it's going to be a fantastic headset by the specs, if it makes it to production. There's many a slip twixt the cup and a lip, but I sure hope they do. Because I think, I should get rid of some ballast here. Let's... Problem. Alright, we'll close the ballast. And that should make it a little easier to land. Reduce our stall speed. This is not a very good circuit I'm flying here. Just coming around. I keep getting distracted by the scenery. Alright, here we go. Half spoiler approach, gear is down, water ballast is closed, spoilers are at half. I don't need to go much more than half, I don't think. We'll just slip over here a little bit. Spoilers are like having a bank account of energy. If you're going to be a little bit short, you can push the spoilers in and get some lift back and pop up. But I think we're okay here. I think I can fit between the trees. Yeah. This looks pretty good. Okay, full spoiler. Full brake, full aft stick, and keep on the rudder. Keep working that rudder. Okay, let the wing down, and we are done. There, we've been flying in the Netherlands, and I have to admit, every time I pick a new place to fly in Flight Sim, I'm more and more impressed by what Asobo has accomplished here. This is just a beautiful simulator. I get the feeling that we're on the edge of something really wonderful with VR. And in the next 5 years, we're going to see amazing things coming along. Listen, thank you for joining me. Thank you for putting up with my rambling. I know I talk too much, but I enjoy describing what's going on, and I hope you didn't mind learning a little bit about flying gliders. I know some of my viewers get mad when I talk about airplanes and how to fly particular airplanes, but I think if you're interested in VR and the crystal, you might also be interested in learning how to fly a glider in it. Anyway, thank you for dropping by. I hope you'll come back. We'll talk soon.